Welcome to the Vault Excel. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy holidays to everyone. My movie suggestion for the week is titled A Ghost Story, The Small Hand. It was a book turned into a movie, and you can watch the film for free on Tubi. Thank you for joining me. I'm continuing my discussion this week about the disappearance of Summer Wells. Each day I will bring you a topic of conversation pertaining to the information we learned about her disappearance. So I've shared with the viewing audience just a recap the other day of her disappearance, played audio from the mother's interview with WJHL. Then yesterday I gave you another video pertaining to her disappearance. And this topic this afternoon is pertaining to the parents. Were there YouTube stunts an attempt to gloat that they harmed Summer? Let me go back and I need to change something right quick. 1 second, everybody. Sorry about that. Had a little typing error. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hello, Tiny. The cast. Oh my God. Please stop. As I said, each day I will bring you a topic pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells. Please feel free to go into YouTube queue to check out my previous 2 videos pertaining to the disappearance. 2.5 years later, there has been no update pertaining to this child. WATE News, Knoxville, Channel 6, did a short clip pertaining to her disappearance, and they gave the wrong town as the location of where she was living. It's not Waynesboro, but it is Rogersville, allegedly. Anywho, the child has not surfaced. No one has brought forward any information. There have been no arrests. And you don't hear anything about the parents vying for the child, going out looking for the child, searching for the child, passing out flyers, talking to the radio stations, news stations. And most of us would find that very strange, those of us who have empathy, because there are a lot of people who don't have empathy. And those are the people that you need to be very leery of, such as these 2 characters here. They have an extensive past of child abuse, in rearing children, losing custody of children each. This is before they ever met one another. Then you fast forward 6 degrees of separation. These 2 cross paths, bear children. 1's missing and 3 are in foster care. Their behavior thereafter is asinine. I don't understand the point of going to social media, ranting and raving and inebriated and cursing and using racial slurs, and your child is missing. And your other 3 eventually went into foster care. Who does this? So I ask you this question. Please take the polls on my community page pertaining to Summer Wells and the parents. I ask every question I can think of pertaining to her disappearance, the situation that she was in with her brothers, because they're also a part of this story as well. Did these people go to YouTube to gloat that they harmed her? Because you have to ask yourself, what was the motivation to be on social media so readily, so often, and your child is missing? Hello, Melinda. Thank you for joining me. Hello, Diane. Good to see you. I've heard from you in a while. Why? And naturally, as we have learned with death, missing people, that everybody behaves differently when they grieve or there's something traumatic in their life. Something traumatic has happened. Because I know I judge people harshly. Why? I own it. And I'm sure many people have questioned the same thing. this scenario here. But this isn't your average scenario. And as I said before, in talking about the Kohlberger case earlier, I was listening to my video from yesterday. It is easy to judge a situation. It's easy to point the fingers at who you think did something. And that case is a prime example of why you shouldn't point the finger. Because people were throwing daggers at a young man that one of the girls dated as the culprit of the murders. But then, voila, the city of Moscow brings us Mr. Kohlberger as a suspect. So then you mosey on over here to the holler and say to yourself, well, is it possible that we have misjudged these two people? They have nothing to do with the disappearance. They weren't the best parents. They didn't live well. They're clowns. But they didn't kill their kid, harm their kid, sell their kid, or accident, then covered it up. I don't know. I go by how you act because that's all I have to go on. That's just me. Everybody judges the situation differently. But I can't fathom having a whole baby missing, because to me, she's still a baby. Having a whole baby missing. And the only thing I can think to do is correct the reporter in saying, call me Miss Bly, instead of Candus Wells. Sit in the background while my husband goes on YouTube channels, cussing and fussing and ranting and spinning all these different scenarios. And then I start jumping on there months later myself, talking to people. Run off to Hollywood or wherever they went, see Dr. Phil. That was a fiasco. Run off the stage. And it's like, what the hell is going on here? Do you not care about your children or not? So I say, from my personal experience of being an adult at 52, and usually a pretty good judge of character dealing with people, they have some knowledge or all knowledge of the disappearance of their child. However it went down on that fateful day, they have knowledge. Because when I listened back to the interview that they gave to the news, and Candus appeared sedated, something he said was strange. May not be strange to you, but just strange to me. I believe they came up that drive and took her down the drive and went far, far away from here. I want you to think about that for just a second. Thank you, Diane. If I didn't know better, I would have thought that was a child talking to the news. Because that sounds like something a child would phrase a scenario. He went far, 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 far away from here. Think about what I'm saying now. A grown man is sitting on a news interview giving his synopsis of what he thinks happened to his child. And that's what he comes up with. I think they took her far, 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 far away from here. Well, why would you think that? Because when you say that, there are people like me who are, as somebody told me, I'm an overthinker. I use critical thinking. That's the only way I can live. It hasn't suited me well in every situation, but in this situation, it does sound strange. I think he took her far, 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 far away from here. Far where? What's far? New York? Canada? Mexico? What are we saying? It was almost as if he was telling us that, hell, maybe she isn't dead. But they gave her away, sold her away, tired of dealing with her. I don't know. I don't know how the child behaved, didn't behave, because I don't know anything about their children. But I know people hurt children every day. And this is something I've had to tell so many people who act so oblivious to common sense. Why in the F would you question why they would kill her? or hurt her or sell her. Why not? I keep telling you all that. Don't ask why. Ask why not. You have to think like a perpetrator. That is the only way you're going to be able to understand abuse, murder. And I'm not here to say she was SA'd. I'm not here to say she was physically abused. I'm not here to even say that she's dead. What I am saying to you is pay attention to the details. That's an off-putting comment. I think they took her far, far, far away from here. Why does she have to be far away? Because one would have to say, does he know something about where she is? And this is his way of speaking out loud without thinking. And many of you have said that his commentary appears that he has knowledge of where the child is. And I won't doubt. I won't doubt it. So I'm going to ask Don and Candus, did you sell your child? Did you sell your child for nefarious reasons? Did you owe a debt to somebody? Were you tired of raising a girl child? Was there something nefarious going on behind closed doors that you didn't want to be revealed? Because a lot of people wrote that, wagging about her going to school and people seeing signs. And what you all don't seem to understand is you have to think before speaking. The child has to go to the doctor first. See, you all don't think. See, I chop everything up. That's why I don't jump to conclusions about stuff readily when it comes to true crime. I have to think it out. And I have to think of everything that's available to come to that conclusion. And that's something none of you have said. Because in the end, you never knew anything about an essay, nothing, until that sister came forward. So imagine had you never heard from the sister. You would have never came up with the synopsis that he could have possibly violated his daughter. Stay woke now. In order for her and her brothers to go to school here in Tennessee, they would have to have all their immunizations up to par. They would have to get a physical. So when you say, oh, he was molesting his kid and that's why they killed her, you can't make that claim because they had to have taken her to the doctor before, come on now, getting her into school. Unless they hadn't taken her to the doctor and got all her records or the kid's records. See, we don't know because that's private information. So I'm going to ask that question. Did you, Miss Bly, Mr. Wells, take your children to get their immunizations the summer of 21? Because they don't strike me as people who would do things on a timely fashion. And naturally, the only version you have to go on about anything pertaining to them and the children will come from them. Oh, I bought her school clothes and I did this. Did you buy her school clothes? I don't know. So that's where we would get the notion, okay, well, she has to go to the doctor. The children got to go to the doctor because that's the only way you're going to enroll in school in Tennessee is you have to have a physical. You have to have your immunizations up to date. So we ask that now. Were the children's immunizations up to date? Because if they were, I would hope a doctor would have done a full physical of each child to notice anything nefarious in nature to their personal parts, if you understand what I'm saying. Then the flip side of that would be, well, do we know that a doctor would ask the child to be fully disrobed to check buttocks, penis, anal areas, vagina? I don't know. Depends on the doctor. But if I was a physician, I would. And I'd let the parent know that. And I'd let the child know that before asking them to disrobe. The doctor needs to check all your parts to make sure everything is working and functioning. So that way we would know if somebody's been doing something downtown they ain't had no business. See, you don't know anything because you're dealing with children. And everything's private when it comes to kids. Physicals, immunizations, doctor's appointments, findings from doctor's appointments, ER appointments, and also the obvious, dealing with the state. We sit in limbo wondering, were they being investigated beforehand? Why were the boys removed? Why were the boys never returned? Did they take them automatically with no chance to get them back? Or they gave these people an opportunity, but they didn't comply? Because once again, the only thing you have are their versions. Somewhere on someone's channel, he was telling people that the visits were too far, or the mother was saying something about the visits were too far. So then they would lead one to believe that, okay, at some point they had access to visit their children. Visit their children. So what happened? Why come to this network, Miss Bly, Mr. Wells, to vent, to cry, to moan, to get attention, donations, whatever the hell your purpose was it worth it? Because if I use my full brain, because it's the only one I got, I would wonder that possibly you did have something to do with the disappearance of your child, and you knew she was never coming back, which would lead me to believe she's no longer alive. Because your behavior was asinine, and it was unwarranted due to the circumstances. Jumping up on panels and panels and panels and got these weirdo, wacko YouTubers aiding you when they were jacked up them damn selves. And like I said, none of us are perfect, but damn. You just run, jump in a bowl of hot water, don't care. That's what you said. I don't care. Burn all my damn hands and fingers off. What do I care? And they're stupid. Yeah, I'm talking about you. You're sitting up here aiding these people when you knew something was off and amiss with the story. The child was last seen allegedly with the mother and the grandmother, and out of nowhere, she goes missing. And yet you want to uphold these people as if they had nothing to do with the child's disappearance. And like I said, you can be wrong, of course, because we don't have a receipt to anything except for what law enforcement has by eyewitness account, data, and CCTV footage, which none of that has been released to the public. Just a bunch of people talking and making up stuff and saying, oh, I talked to the guy at the smoke shop. Oh, I talked to the people at the Piggly Wiggly. Oh, I went to the front desk at the emergency room, which we already know they can never tell you nothing, no way. But you don't got a receipt to nothing. And that's where this is a problem. And it will be jacked up if we find out the child was kidnapped by somebody else. But what's the likelihood of that? If I'm to believe she made it home. That's the problem. The behavior of the parents showed me that they did not care about their children. They have not ever cared about their children, never cared, because they don't care about themselves. And as I have always said to people, it's that self is first. You can't care for anybody in the street if you don't care for yourself. You can't fully love another human if you don't love yourself. You don't value yourself. As I said, when the picture surfaced of her being asleep in the church, I told people, no, that's not her. Because I couldn't fathom a grown woman being in church, slumped down in a hoodie, asleep, because I wasn't raised that way. And I'm not saying a person can't doze off during church, but if I know my temperament, I would have never gone to church knowing I was tired. That's my point. 2, you're in there with a sweatshirt on looking like a dude. What's the problem? But you can dress up for Dr. Phil, but you can't dress up for church. You did a video with somebody else, the other YouTuber, where he's at your mansion on the hill getting a tour of that house. You were dressed decent then in one of those videos, or the news, one of those videos. It was a news or YouTuber, can't remember. But the point I'm making is they're showing you calls here. I do stuff the way I want to do it when I want to do it. I went to church in a hoodie and fell asleep. Yep, I did. Yeah, I went out to California, Texas, whatever, did the interview with Dr. Phil. Okay, I didn't look halfway decent, comb my hair, put a little lip gloss on. Just theatrics. And this is not normal behavior of people who have a missing child and children removed from their care. You should show that you care about your kids. You should have been on the TV every fucking chance you got. You see how Mr. Gonsalves is out there in Idaho. He's on the news more than the news reporters. He's on the news more than the news reporters. Now, mosey on over to the holler across the country. You got two people who just say, the hell with it. I just want to get some likes, some views, start my own channel, get on there and call people nasty names, derogatory names, because I'm ignorant as hell. And I ain't focusing on my children. Who does that? This is why I keep trying to tell people. So many people are like this out here in the world, not just East Tennessee. Their priorities are effed up. All they care about is social media, what somebody posts, what somebody said. But they're not concerned with the important thing, which are the children. Where is the attention for the kids? All that time spent on YouTube and jumping on panels, you could have been visiting your damn children. You could have been out here looking for summer. But no, you too busy wanting to be up on somebody's panel, going on and on and on about absolutely nothing, never bringing a receipt to nothing. Coulda, woulda, woulda, shoulda. But it ain't good enough. Folks running down here, running all over the place, standing down there at Ben Hill Road like a bunch of dumbasses. One running down the driveway, hooping and hollering, holding his britches up. Just foolishness. For what? People falling out with each other. 1 minute they get in cahoots with a YouTuber, then they falling out with them. YouTuber and YouTuber falling out. Then Don's falling out with the YouTubers. Then here comes somebody sharing their secrets with Candus, vice versa. Then they want to turn on Candus. That shows you how lonely Candus is. Just pick up with some strangers, start talking to them, video chat. Next thing you know, they're on a YouTube channel telling all the damn business. Let me tell you what she said. Let me tell you what she did. Yeah, I kind of think now she did do something to her daughter. You didn't have no business fucking with her anyway. What possessed you to go message somebody on Messenger that could have possibly killed another human? I just want you to think about that for just a second. You all up in Facebook Messenger messaging these people, and you don't know them from a can of paint. Hi, my name is Susie May, and I'm a YouTuber, and I was wondering if I could interview you, and you give me your story to what happened that day. How many times can you keep spinning the same damn lie? I don't want to keep hearing about the swimming hole. I don't want to keep hearing about Piggly Wiggly. I don't want to keep hearing about I went back and helped my mama inside and planted some flowers that didn't exist. Then I watched my daughter walk over to the trailer, which is so fake and theatrical. That's not even the way people talk. Nobody describes a story like that returning home with groceries. Yeah, we got home, we pulled up, mama went in the house, I went in the house, put my stuff up, my baby went outside, she played, she came back in, she went back in. Next thing I know, I went in the house looking for her, she was gone. End of story. All this piece of candy, and she went out and planted this, and then I watched her walk over, then she went inside. It just sounds like an old black spiritual hymn song. I was waiting for somebody to come out with a banjo and start preaching. Just stop it. But what's sickening are people who aid these people. Still on the Facebook groups. I want her home. Oh, it'd be a wonderful Christmas miracle if Summer comes home. As I said in the video yesterday. Come home to whom? Where will she be going? Not back there. She'd be in the state's care. You want her alive, but she ain't going back to the wells to blah. Checkmate. This is not the place for shenanigans when you are talking about a missing child, a missing sister, brother. This is real life. And sadly, we have people out here who have the mindset like Candus and Don. This is what I've always tried to make you all understand. They are just 1% of what the hell goes on in America and abroad. You can walk down a public street right now and meet somebody that acts just like them. They could be black, Japanese, Mexican, Indian, whatever. Still act the same, talk the same. Always seeking attention. Always got a story. Always got a version. And I've told people about people like that because I know people like that now. Every time you talk to them, they got a damn version to spin. They did this and she did this and oh Lord and woe is me and don't nobody like me and oh they stole this and they did this. It's always a story. And you have to ask yourself, do I believe this bullshit? Or are these people causing these problems for themselves? And it's no telling what has gone on up on that hill while they raised those children. But I can tell you it ain't been good. Because when I saw the structure of the house, the inside of the house, the property itself, I felt bad for those kids. Because they didn't get that opportunity to live in a nice house with pretty rooms and nice furniture, healthy foods in the refrigerator, a clean property to play and run and hop and skip on, decent parents that care for each other and know how to talk to each other and also talk and treat their children, with respect. They didn't have that. And it's not their fault. It's nobody's fault because none of us chose our parents. And let's be truthful. Give you a little dry humor here. If you could have just popped up on the earth as a child already, let's just say God made it to where you didn't come from a woman's womb, but he just formed you as a small person. And he says, I'm going to line up these adults in this single file line. And I want you to pick your parent out. I want you to pick out a mommy, and I want you to pick out a daddy. What in the hell would possess a child to walk up to these two dimwits and say, yep, I want her for a mommy, and I want that one for a daddy? Hell no. Hell no. And you know what's so sad about this situation? Besides the possibility that this child could be dead, the brothers are in foster care, Candus and Don didn't have to be this way. Stay woke now. They didn't have to be this way. They chose to be this way. They chose those bad habits from the past. When they were out in the world dating and mating, they could have said to themselves, you know what? I've made some bad mistakes. I'm going to do better next time I choose a partner. But hell no. They go out rummaging around in the universe, cross paths with each other, and repeat the cycle all over again. Why? You just had an abusive relationship to where you gave up your children, and then you're going to go out here and meet another man older than you to go back in the same cycle. You have got to love yourself. And we all fall short in repeating the same mistakes with people in relationships and courtships. We have got to stop. And that's what these two should have done many moons ago. They had an opportunity to stop the foolishness, to stop picking people that don't mean them any good. People that's just innately going to bring them down. And look at them now. Whether they're together or not, to me, they're hopeless. Because you can never be to me, maybe to God, but not to me, because I'm of the flesh, so I can judge. You can't be whole knowing you have lost all your children and possibly you could have murdered one of your children. How in the world could you possibly walk around as a whole human being? There is no way to me. And I know we have a forgiving God. But that's the point. That's between him and you, not me. No way you could be a whole human and you've murdered your baby. There was an accident either by your hands or your children and you covered it up. And then you buried and discarded your child somewhere where the child couldn't be found. You're still messed up. So you can't walk around here talking about nothing of relevance that you would hide a corpse and then play these mind games with law officials, TBI, the news, and social media. Did these people come to YouTube to gloat that, yes, we killed that little girl? We sure did. What you gonna do about it? They won't find out. They don't know nothing. Just let them keep talking. And some of you fell for it. Let's just say these two killed that little girl. All of you who aided them, running in behind them with your fucking cameras, acting like you're Walter Cronkite and Barbara Walters, you are no different than Don and Candus. You're sick. And you can make up all the tall tales of why you felt like you believed them, and we need to be understanding. I don't have to understand nothing. Because when they decided to go to YouTube and started talking crazy and acting crazy and were inebriated and drunk and still breaking the law, calling people nasty names, why would I think these people didn't harm their child? I don't need anything in ink. I don't need to see a signed contract. I saw what they gave us. And what they gave us was filth. So I'm supposed to say in my right mind, oh yeah, they ain't the type to hurt their kid. Not these two. Not these two upstanding citizens. You see, life is a choice. How we deal with people, our responses. They didn't have to come to YouTube. They didn't have to go to Facebook. They could have just supported their children, tried to get their children back if possible, and continue to search for their daughter. But you can't search for something that you intentionally lost. Checkmate. Did that ever occur to any of you? We're going to go to YouTube and social media to get money, funds, attention. We know the child's not coming back because we hurt her, we harmed her, or we covered up her death. And we're going to play these mind games with these people because we know there's going to be somebody out here that's going to support us and believe our bullshit. How has that not resonated with some of you? That this was all a dirty game. Let's feed the masses because there will be somebody gullible to believe us. And there was. There is no doubt about that. Dr. Phil says it best. Past behavior is indicative of future behavior. So your whole life you've stayed in drama, mess, bad relationships, violence, going to jail, drugs, alcohol. You're just repeating the cycle over and over and over with a different person. That's what's happened with these two. They don't want to change. They don't want anything better. Because they didn't have to be together in this mayhem that led to this girl disappearing and the three children, boy children, being in foster care. Oh, that's a choice. It's a choice. If you'd like to join the Queen, 35 minutes of this live, we'll make it count. Give us your opinion. One moment, please. Thank you for joining me, everybody. What's so funny, Diane? Are you laughing at me, dear? Well, you know, I can be a bit animated too. Hold on one second, everybody. Please like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below this video. Share this content. Make it go viral. Knowledge is key. Amen. Amen. Where is this little girl? Will we ever get to the truth about where she can be found and located? Hello, Joy. Thank you for joining me. Happy holidays to you. The link is in the chat. Feel free to hit the link. We got a few people in the chat. It's Myron, Buffalo, Sue, Diane, Jackie, Joy. Thank you all so much for your time. Each day I will be bringing you commentary pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells. As most of you know, she has a birthday coming up into the new year, February 2024. I believe the child will be 8. And it just shows you how much time has passed. Very scary. Very, very scary. Seemed like she'd be 9 because she went missing. They said she was what? Was she 5 or 6? I can't even remember. So I can't keep up. Nonetheless, each day I bring you a question pertaining to her disappearance. Yesterday was about Christmas wish, people summoning her home for Christmas. And what I asked the general public is that if she was to be found alive, where would she go? Today's topic is, did these two parents go to YouTube to basically gloat about harming her? Was this their own sick way? She was 5. Okay, that's what I thought. Because I thought they said 8, but I had to try to go back in time to remember. Okay. So she'll be 8 in 2 months if she's alive. Did these people go to YouTube to gloat that they did harm her, and they felt this was their way of getting attention and keep the focus on them, but not their child, not their children? Because I think in the end, we already know that something nefarious has happened to the girl child. Whether she's alive or dead, I can't see a decent family having her in their midst and not contact the police to say, hey, we don't want to go to jail later for having possession of this child. We're going to turn her over to you all. We took the little girl in because they said she needed a place and they didn't want to take care of her anymore. That's something a noble person would do. Noble people would do that. Even if they gave them money for Summer Wells, I still would turn her over to the police. I'm not going to walk around with no kid knowing there's missing posters around and that could turn on me to where somebody could say I kidnapped a little girl. No, I'm going to take her to the police station. Thank you, Tracy. No way I'm getting ready to hold that little child in my possession. And what kind of life could she have? You can't let her go outside. You'd be stupid enough to enroll her in school and use fake documents for the fear. She gets to talking and she gets to telling people, I'm not, my name ain't Susie. My name ain't Mary. My name is Summer. Hell, if she could talk, she could tell the truth. These people came and picked me up, or my parents took me to these people's house or handed me over. These aren't my parents. I lived in Tennessee. I'm from Tennessee. See, you can't assume a child wouldn't talk. And if she could talk, she could tell the truth if she's alive. Okay, Diane. She would tell the truth. Hey, my name is Summer. Hey, I'm from Tennessee. Hey, I got brothers and a mom and a daddy. I don't know you people. It would be too risky to put her in regular school. Now, I'm not saying it has not been done. People have kidnapped kids from different parts of the region, raised them as their own children, and sent them to regular school, which is the most dangerous thing you can do. But a lot of times it's easier to do this with a newborn versus somebody that's 5 that can talk. 5 is too risky. But you can easily tell somebody her government name and where she's from. And somebody would say, what do you mean your name is Summer? I thought your name was Mary. No, my name's not Mary. That's what they told me to tell you. And then somebody should then say, okay, we're calling the police. I feel these parents didn't have the right tools to be good parents. And this has happened with many people. Not saying you're a bad person, but you just didn't have what it takes to rear children. And rearing children is a hard job because you have to be selfless to do it. And if you came from abusive life, abusive parents, you were shuffled around with the foster care, this and that, you won't know how to rear a child because you don't have anything in you. And it's not to say you're a bad person. It's just how you were raised. But there comes a point when you become grown and you realize parenting is not for you, you need to stop having children. And that's what was going on here with these two. Two people who never knew each other could not stop making babies and losing them. And there's something wrong with that. And that's the one thing I see in the Black community. Nobody wants to take responsibility for the male penetrating a woman and making kids, and then he don't want to take care of them when he finds out they're his children. It's always on the woman. Oh, she should have never got pregnant. She should have never got pregnant. Yeah, we know she should have never got pregnant. But guess what, sir? You provided the sperm, so you're just as guilty and liable. This is not a one-way street. A lady went into the pumpkin patch and got pregnant. 2 people lied down and had sexual relations, and a baby came. Hello, sweetie. Everybody has to own their part. Can I keep putting it off on the woman? You don't want a baby? Put on a condom or abstain. You don't want to get pregnant? Take birth control pills, wear a condom. Take the pill, take the shot, do something. IUD, do something. And I hope for Candus' sake, seriously, or let's say for the universe's sake, she can't have any more children. She's getting older now. Hopefully her reproductive organs are dwindling down. Same for Mr. Wells. No more children for these 2. 78 viewing. Thank you for your time. The link is in the chat if you want to come up here and give your opinion pertaining to the shenanigans of these 2 coming to YouTube, spewing venom and showing out and acting a damn fool while a child was missing and the boys were in the state's custody. Please hit the link. Thank you for joining me. Who would keep a kid all this time for what reason? Well, Jackie, people do it though, because we've heard many cases of children who have been kidnapped and they were not murdered. They are alive. But as I said, It's easier to conceal an infant and try to put that child in school, with fake documents. And I'm not saying children older than an infant, it hasn't been done. I'm sure there's some cases somewhere. But it's riskier as the children are older to try to get them to lie and give a different name, because children can't lie forever. And that would be a problem. Hello. Thank you for joining me, everybody. If you want to help keep the continuity of this information flowing during this live stream, the link is in the chat. You are free to hit the link if you like to give your opinion pertaining to these two coming to YouTube. And was this their way of gloating that they did indeed hurt their girl child, Summer Wells? I'd like to hear from somebody if they could. If not, I won't hold you much longer. But that was my thought process today. Was this an attempt at gloating? Yeah, we're going to go up here on these channels, play around with these stupid people. They'll believe anything I tell them. They'll feel sorry for us. They'll give us money, help us out. But all along, they did hurt the little girl. And they didn't care about using and manipulating other people. Because what I learned in this YouTube game pertaining to true crime, it's just a hustle in itself. And as I said, this is a network that makes money regardless if you ever partner with YouTube. And that's what people need to understand about YouTube. It is a, billion-dollar industry. It's going to make its money regardless if a person is a partner or not. Because you have to remember something. When you start uploading content to YouTube, you're not an automatic partner. You have to have at least 1,000 subscribers. And then put in your bid to become monetized. And then they make the decision, yes or no. Usually they do, because they want to make money. That's the whole point of this situation. Is that this is a money-making channel. Network, rather. So it doesn't really matter what content you monetize or not. Commercials can be automatically put into your content without you even having to go in to put the commercials in, the breaks or whatever. And that's what people need to understand about this network. It's a business. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about how to sew a quilt, you're showing houses, you're showing the latest gadgets in the mall or Dollar Tree. The network is going to get paid either way. And that's what people need to understand. And there are some people who are out here genuinely, partner with YouTube and bring content of various content, but they actually have a heart. And I would consider myself one of those people, because I don't wish any harm on any child, man or woman. But I also know that you can do things out here to get yourself hurt. As the old people would say, seek and ye shall find. And I think these parents were asking for trouble to come to social media, because if indeed you hurt your children, why do you want to put yourself out here to, one, be judged, and then have some wacko wait for you one day coming down your driveway and beat your brains in? I would have never went to YouTube, and I wouldn't been on social media. And I wouldn't have been allowing people to infiltrate my messenger box. I would not have given out my phone number to YouTubers and strangers, because there was no reason to do that. And I'm not saying I haven't reached out to people in storylines, but you have to know your place. Once you see that they're disinterested, they no longer want to talk about the subject matter, I don't engage anymore. I don't call, I don't message, I don't say anything. And I've talked to a few people since being on YouTube, And a lot of the people don't want to talk about the situation with a YouTuber. They just don't, for whatever reason. And I have to respect that. But the thing I've seen here with this true crime and the YouTuber business, it's ugly. It's nasty and it's ugly. And it's not an appropriate way of doing business when you're talking about missing people and dead people. It's a way of conducting yourself. And I just don't think anybody should be aiding people who could have possibly harmed a child. That's a dangerous road to travel down. Because it's bad enough that people kill people together, cover it up together. They confess to people and people hold the secret, hold the lie. So why would you as a content holder want to get wrapped up into these people's lives that you don't know nothing about? And they possibly could have killed a kid or sold a kid. Why would you want to do that? And then you bring them up on your channel, parading them around like they're, Jesus Christ superstar. That's so disrespectful. It's vile. It's vile. Because let me tell you something about doing that. You're going to pay the piper one day for that. You may not think it'll happen. You may think what you're doing is noble. Oh, I'm giving them a chance to express themselves. Oh, I think you shouldn't judge people. You have to be very careful the roads you travel down. Okay, don't mention anybody's name in the chat, honey, because it starts problems when you mention other YouTubers' names. But anyway, it's no good. Because as I told people the other day about me talking about other subject matters besides death, you can summons an omen. You're all right. You can summons an omen talking about death. Because what I want you to think about are the people who end up murdered. Such as that teacher that got murdered down in Memphis. Caucasian lady was running, and that guy kidnapped her. The black guy kidnapped her, assaulted her, and left her for dead behind a house. The one thing we had heard is that she liked to listen to true crime. Now, I want you to think about that for just a second. Imagine this lady getting up every day running through the city of Memphis, running on the Memphis University of Memphis campus. And imagine her listening to a podcaster, a true crime podcast, every time she ran, let's say. Now, imagine on that fateful morning she was running, she was listening to true crime, and then out of nowhere, here comes this big black guy trying to shove her into his car, his truck. Do you see where I'm going with this? You can summons the devil by talking about certain things all the time. And I personally believe that talking about death, talking about people being murdered, talking about people missing every day, I could be summoning the devil to be at my own damn door. And that's something I do not want. Even just watching it all the time on TV, watching it late night, there has to be a break and watch something else. I just don't think it's no good. And I told myself that recently. I don't want to talk about death every day. I don't want to even be sitting here watching all these true crime shows about death. Because I just might be summoning the devil to appear at my door or appear at my window. You see, I don't think these parents care about their children. That's the reason why they're not here, if you've noticed. And I think they're happy where they are. I think they've accepted the fact that they don't have the children. The children are not coming back to them. And I think they're satisfied with the outcome. Because their behavior has shown us that they are. And as Maya Angelou once said, when they show you who they are, believe them. So why would I not think otherwise? Yes, well, I've fallen asleep on a lot of them, and I end up having nightmares. Yes, I do. Paranoid all the time, that somebody's going to break in. And that's just something a person should not be thinking about when going to sleep, somebody breaking into their house. But when your house is set up a certain way and you got a lot of windows, why would you not be leery? And then being a female, not married, not dating anybody, I have to be leery. I have to be cautious. Who I talk to, the company I keep, make sure I'm watching all windows and doors, anything suspicious. But that can become daunting as well if you start to become too paranoid. My next video pertaining to summer wells will be this question here. Because I saw this comment the other day under a video, and it is a very valid question. The person said, considering that they live in the middle of nowhere, why would they have even reported the child missing? I want you to think about that for just a second. Exactly, Diane. And that's how I feel lately. I'm the only one that has Angela's back. Amen. Think about what I just said. If indeed the disappearance of Summer Wells was an orchestrated crime by her parents together, why even report her missing, considering where you lived? You don't have friends around. You don't have parents coming around to visit. You dealt with the church. That's probably the only people you actually dealt with in the general area. So why report Summer Wells missing? That's a damn good question. But maybe that's why, because they knew they would still be dealing with the church. And what were they going to tell them showing up with just 3 boys and no girl? Oh, she went to my sister's house out in such and such. Oh, Candus, same thing. Oh, she went to my sister, cousin, whoever house over in such and such. But then as time goes by, people are going to be looking for that little girl to pop back up. So how long could they hold that lie? She's out of town. It's school now. You're going to church on Saturday, Sunday, however their services went. The little girl still hasn't returned. It's fall, let's say. Oh, where's Summer? Oh, she's still gone. She gonna live up there. She wanted to live up there. And then the first thing they'll say, well, why would you let your daughter live up there, but you keep your boys here? Well, as I said before, Terry, there's been no verification of anything nefarious between Donald and the little girl, because you got to have a receipt when you bring up SA and all of that. And like I said, you have to go to the doctor first before even going to school here in Tennessee. So that's why I said you have to bring a receipt about her being sexually assaulted. Because you can't go to school in Tennessee without your immunizations. That's off the rip. They're not letting you in. So the child would have to have gone to the doctor first before school. Now, as I said before, could it be that she and none of those boys had their immunizations yet? I don't know. And we'll probably never find out. But nonetheless, living in the middle of nowhere, you don't have a lot of friends coming around. You don't have a lot of friends that you're visiting with your children. The children aren't going to a lot of different people's houses and homes. Basically, I think the only people they really dealt with was the church. Those would be the only people I would see them fearing lying about where their child was, because eventually they're going to ask. Robin would have asked, "Oh, I see you have the boys here. Where's Summer?" Week 1, week 2, 2 months, 3 months, school starting. Boom. Going to church. Where's Summer? What would they say? Because how many times are you going to keep making up stuff about where she is? But this is still a good question, because we have learned in time past, rather, that many children have gone missing here in the United States, and their parents pressed forward and they told people, excuse me, some type of story about where the child was. Because there's a new case in Georgia, well, it's an older case rather, where 2 parents have been arrested recently, a black couple. I don't think they're together now, but anyway, a black man and a black woman were recently arrested a few weeks ago, and they tied this baby dumped off the side of the road to them as the parents. Because a lady came forward asking about the case, and she remembered they had a little girl, and she remembered not seeing the little girl thereafter. I wish she had stayed on them years ago, because by now, we've already had DNA around 30 years. They could have linked that baby to this woman and man at least 30 years ago. But nonetheless, the truth is out now. But that's my point. Many people have killed their children, and they still pressed forward and gave some excuse or story about where the child was. Oh, he's up there in New York with my mom, or he's in, she's over here in Indiana with my sister. And some people would leave it alone. Okay. She letting her sister raise her child, or she's letting her grandmother raise her child. And people move on and they let it go. They don't start calling the police and DHS and say, hey, you need to investigate these people. I don't see their little girl anymore. I don't see their son anymore. Some people move on. They just accept it. But that is a very viable question. Why did they report her missing? Considering where they lived. Very good question. I live here in East Tennessee. I know how people navigate here in the South. And the one thing I can say personally, as being a resident here in East Tennessee, most of us do not go up dirt roads. Let me make that clear. You know better. And it does not have to have a sign at the base of the driveway to say, do not enter, gate, no gate, keep out, trespassing, no trespassing. We know better. Because we know that you're out in the middle of nowhere. You're going to go up a winding ass road. You don't know what you're going to encounter on that drive up to the house, the property. Why risk it? The only people I can see doing that are people that's out to rob somebody. And you're still taking a chance when you don't know the owner of the house, trailer, whatever's up there. And that's why I know nobody came up that road. Because for one, the driveway is broke up. And I doubt that they fixed it or paved it. So that's too risky for a stranger who doesn't even know the people, know what's up there, to take the chance to go up there to do what if I don't even know who's up there? I don't know what's up there. And if I thought that there were children there, how am I going to get in and get out with the kid? So you have to think about all of that. That's why all roads led back to Candus Bly and possibly Mr. Don Wells. And if Don did not directly hurt the little girl, I believe he knows what happened to her thereafter. And let me tell you, if indeed he did not hurt his daughter, but heard what happened from Candus, you're still carrying the lie. And I can't see how you could hold that lie and uphold your wife if she harmed your child. So no, I do not believe an intruder came in. I do not believe anybody that knew them went up there and took the little girl, because you'd have to have knowledge she was there in the basement alone. And there's no way you would know that unless you were already on the property. And I still can't see somebody that knew them being up there. Candus knew they were there. Then why would she let you leave with her child? That makes no sense. You're going to go visit her and then what? Go down that crawl space to take her kid out of there? Or you walked out the front door and then walked around to that back door, opened it up and took the child out with her. And naturally, you have to have her mouth covered because wouldn't she scream? So you have to make it make sense. And even these hypotheses are illogical to me. Now, we know that anything is possible, especially when you're dealing with somebody that possibly drinks and got high. But once again, in order to get the girl child out of the basement, if we're to even believe that is true, because we don't have knowledge that that's true, you still would have to know she was there alone, number one. Get in without being seen by the grandmother, the children, and the mother, number two. Get the child out without her screaming. Would the child go with you alone? So you have to ask all those questions. And did you walk down the drive or trail with the child? And then went to the main road and got inside of a car? I still can't see anybody doing all that. And like I said, it's not to say a person could not do it. Because as I said, anything is possible. But the only way I can see a person leaving with the child from the property is if the mother gave them the child or told the person that they could take the child, even if it was just for a day trip or something. I don't know. Or she was inebriated and the person came up on foot and just took a chance to look through the glass door on the bottom level and saw the child in there and went in, took her out, and exited out the door, down the drive, or through a trail. But you still had to carry her out, either by carrying her or walking her. And why would you want to risk being seen with her? Even though you're out in the middle of nowhere. But you don't know who would be driving by. You don't know who could have been coming up the drive. So see, you got to make it make sense. What happened to Summer Wells? This is the most baffling true crime story out of this region of a missing girl child. And I do believe that all roads lead to her parents. They have knowledge of what happened to her, and they have refused to tell law enforcement. And I got a sneaky suspicion they do suspect both parents to be involved in the disappearance of Summer Wells. They just do not have the evidence to bring forward a charge, an indictment. Is she buried out in that region? Is she buried somewhere in the state of Tennessee or discarded in Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky? I don't think she's far away if she's discarded. Let me say that. Because it would have been a short window, leaving Kingsport, disposing of her, getting back to the house, and then waiting till after 6 to report her missing. Changing of versions. I took a walk, I left. Which is it? Then she does the interview, Miss Candus, to say, oh, I don't walk anywhere because of the bears and the coyotes. She was cleaning up her statement then. So then you have to ask that question. How many versions did Candace Bly give authorities to the events of that day? Because I got a feeling she has changed her versions. And the one where she left and or was walking, that would be one of them. Because the first thing they're going to ask, did you leave by foot or did you leave by car? If she says by car, they're going to ask her, where did she go? And we know that most businesses have cameras. So if she said, oh, I don't mean I left by foot. I mean, I ran by car. I went to the Piggly Wiggly, the Dollar General. I went to get some cigarettes or a pizza. First thing they're going to say is, where's the receipt? Show us what you bought. We're going to check the surveillance cameras to see that you pulled up there. Bingo card. This is why I always tell you, you have to pay attention to the details. Because when we say I took a run, does not mean I literally ran somewhere. Usually it means I got in my car or somebody picked me up and I went on an errand. So if she went on a run by car, that means she went somewhere, assumedly. Where did she go? And was it verified that she went there? Those are the things I would love to hear from law enforcement. Yes, we can verify she left the property. She went down the road and got cigarettes, a beer, something. We've got the time stamp. She was by herself, blah, blah, blah. Do you have her on surveillance anywhere after dropping Boy H off? With or without the grandmother, the child, whomever? What's the time stamp? What's the location? What was she doing? By herself, talking to somebody, sitting somewhere? What? See, these are all the things we are not going to know until there's an arrest, where they could tie it together to say, this is what we think happened on this fateful day. Exactly, Lady K. How easy would it be to just say, we can give a timeline between this time and this time. We've got surveillance of the mother at the grocery store, the Walgreens, the smoke shop, the hospital. We got cameras in the area of the swimming hole. She was in this general area at this time. Don't you find that strange? And I'm very glad you said that. You don't have one legalized report from TBI, the sheriff, or the news to say, here's footage of the mother at the hospital, this place, this place, this place. Nothing. Why not? If you didn't know any better and you didn't follow this story, you would just assume they went nowhere that day. They were home all day and the little girl went missing from Ben Hill Road, the property, the house, whatsoever. That's what's very strange. And we have seen with true crime stories of people going missing. Come on with it, Queen. They ain't ready. They usually always show you the last place seen on CCTV footage alive. Checkmate. Why has there been no CCTV footage showing the whereabouts of Summer Wells, her mother, and the grandmother and Boy H to the public to prove they were out together? That will also be a live stream pertaining to that. What I'm saying is a verifiable footage of the child and the mother and the people that were together, not a version. Saying somebody was outside, that's a version. That's not facts. I want to see a footage of her somewhere in East Tennessee alive. And that's odd because when people go missing, and you've seen this with how many stories, they always show you something to show where the person was last allegedly. Saying somebody was outside, that's not proof of nothing. Show me where she was breathing, walking, talking. That's right, Diane. How about that? Exactly. All these cameras around at banks, grocery stores. You mean to tell me police can't show us one video footage of all these people together? Nobody has any doorbell cameras over there where Boy H was 2 years ago? Nobody in that neighborhood? So you mean to tell me all these people are poor, working class? Nobody had a doorbell camera. No cameras on a lamppost near H's house. No cameras were working from Kingsport to Ben Hill Road. Stay woke. No cameras to show the father's movements. Ah, how about that? Wherever he was working, at somebody's house, nobody has a doorbell camera over there. See? Ain't nobody never mentioned that. And I haven't heard it on one YouTube channel yet. Where are the cameras to show the father was at his location for so many hours? Did he take a lunch break? Did he go to a McDonald's, a Burger King, get something to eat, then went back to the house he was working on? Stay woke. Nobody in that area has cameras on the house where Mr. Don was working. See, the thing about true crime is you glaze over stuff because you get so wrapped up on one or two little situations and you miss what's obvious. This is what's obvious. CCTV footage. Every day somebody goes missing in America. There is footage somewhere where they went. Why has there been no camera work revealed to the public of these people's whereabouts on that fateful day? Because that makes no sense to me. If you want me to believe the child was out and about. But see, the gist of the story is this. They ain't ready for this, Cor. They ain't ready. The version of the trip out and about to Kingsport, Boy Age, swimming holes, hospitals, blah, 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 was to a YouTuber. The interview room. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Ain't nobody listening to what you're saying, Queen. Are y'all listening to what I'm saying to you? Say it again because I don't think nobody heard you in the back. The version of the swimming hole and all these places she went was only to a YouTuber. But why is it you don't have this version to the Eyewitness News? All you have is what happened when I got back to the house. You don't find that strange? That a mother wouldn't say, well, I got up at this time. I went over here to pick up this young boy I know. He hung out with me and my daughter. My mother was at the hospital. We went here, 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 and here. I dropped him off. I came back to the house and then go forward with that plant and flower BS. Exactly, Lady K. That's something I just thought about while sitting here talking to this audience. She spins one version to the news of what happened when she got to the house. But you don't tell that same news what the fuck you did the whole damn day. Why not? But you talk to the interview room and you give us a play-by-play of what you did from the time you got out of bed. And you all don't find that strange? Why would I not tell the news my daily itinerary to lead up to her going inside the house and never being seen again? Because if I was an outsider who never watched YouTube, I would assume Summer Wells was at home all day and that's where she got missing. Checkmate. Probably did, Tracy. Because she had to work up the nerve to take the lie detector test, so she says, because she kept crying. That's what she told WJHL. Or did she have to work up the story she was going to give for the questions? Which is it? Because let her tell us she passed the polygraph, but she took it days later, allegedly. And you don't hear much talk about the polygraph either from law enforcement. Quite frankly, you don't hear a damn thing about this case that's of relevance with the receipt. Why is that? Maybe somebody needs to start asking questions to Mr. Ronnie Lawson and the TBI. It's been 2.5 years, and you have yet to show us any video footage of the family being out and about on June 15th. Why not? At least we could verify that the child was running around that day with these people up until a certain time. Show us a camera of her making it to the damn road that's near her house. This is strange to me. Because it seems like to me TBI would have been glad to say, well, we have footage of them being here and here until returning to Rogersville. And you want me to believe that there are no cameras at any businesses in Rogersville on a road before she got to the road where she lived? I don't believe that. Because I'm assuming she had to take some main roads that had some type of cameras to show that she even passed through there in the vicinity. Where is the damn footage? That will be my next live, because I have different topics pertaining to Summer Wells. So now I have to add that to the list. Where is the CCTV footage of June 15th to verify the child being alive? At what time? Number 2, why did they even report the little girl missing? Number 3, the red truck. Those will be individual discussions pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells. If you have any information, please contact the TBI, Rogersville Police Department, Sheriff's Department. I do believe these parents have knowledge of the child. I don't think that she's alive, but it'd be nice to know that she is. But then the better half of me has to say, what type of decent human would take in a child knowing that she's missing and not take her to the authorities? So that probably wouldn't be feasible either, that she would be in good hands. I believe these two went to social media to get attention to deflect the fact that they do know where she is and possibly she is not alive and they are the cause of the child not being alive. They were deflecting, and they used YouTubers, commenters to their advantage. They had no plan on telling you where she is. It's all been a game. And the fact that they do not have their boy children should be evident to all of you that the children were living in dire straits, were not well taken care of, and it's no surprise that a girl child would have gone missing. This was inevitable because their past said so. Now they have no children. They're scot-free. Were these two smart enough to evade detection and an arrest if involved in the disappearance of Summer Wells, if involved in the death of Summer Wells? Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Beganji 129. Cash App, stickers, and chats are always welcome during the live stream. I will be back either late tonight or tomorrow with my continued conversation about the disappearance of Summer Wells, where I will dissect different scenarios pertaining to her disappearance. Feel free to comment below this video. Feel free to comment on my community page pertaining to the disappearance of this girl child. Somebody knows something, and somebody is holding the secret to what happened to her and where she can be found. And it may not come tomorrow. It may not come 5 years from now. But when you least expect it, I do believe the truth will be revealed to what happened to this baby girl. Prayers for her brothers, their safe journey into life. I pray they have a wonderful Christmas wherever they are. And I pray that they are mentally sound and adjusting to their new life. And I also pray that whoever has them, whoever, he or she or they, are taking good care of the boys because they are so deserving of love. Thank you for joining me. You have been listening to the Vault XL. God bless all of you.